Hello everyone, my name is Vanessa Coppes and I'm the CEO and editor-in-chief of Bella Magazine. I am excited to bring you along what has been the journey at Millennial Plastic Surgery with Dr. David.
Hi, my name is Dr. David Shokrian. I'm a plastic and reconstructive surgeon in Manhattan, New York, with offices as well as in Long Island and the Bronx. We specialize in plastic surgery of the face, breast, and body. I've seen Donatella Versace and Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan wowed me.
Yeah.
I could not believe
It's because she did it so young.
how, she looks incredible. She looks, and Donatella Versace, let me tell you,
She looks better.
she looks way better. I mean, when they did, I saw a before and after. And this random conversation will actually lead us to our interview today. I'm so happy to be here. So happy to be back. And I actually started now to feel a little bit more like myself. Before we get into the conversation though, I'd like for you to share with our viewers exactly what was done to me. What did I come in here to do?
So when you came in, you looked great. You were struggling with the usual thing that a lot of women struggle with, which is these very stubborn 10 pounds that you just can't seem to get rid of no matter how much you exercise and eat well and do all the right things, everything the magazines tell you to do. And so...
See, everybody told me I was crazy, but this is a conversation that you have practically...
This is a conversation I've had with thousands of women and men.
Yeah.
Before they can even tell me what's wrong, I know
Yeah.
exactly what it is, and I know the areas that are bothering them.
Yeah.
And as much as people may tell you, go to the gym, forget about plastic surgery, just go to the gym, just go to the gym. I hear it from, patients' loved ones. I hear it from their significant others. I even hear it from other physicians. It's just not the case.
Yeah.
There's just certain things the gym will not do.
Yeah.
So unless you're able to get your body into a point and shock it, either via starvation or some other method, you're just not going to get the shape and the look that you're going to get if somebody actually goes in there and creates it for you. And so you came in here very realistic, very reasonable expectations, and you said, certain parts of my body bother me, and you looked fantastic, but you wanted to feel better.
Well, thank you. However, to your point, I work out, I eat healthy, I seek, health and support, and still those 10 pounds were, not that they were driving me crazy, because again, it's not like I wasn't able to live my life, but clothes were just not fitting properly. And I just wanted to feel like, I remember texting you, thank you for giving back my mojo. Like I feel now a little bit more just secure about myself and more confident in my own skin.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Confidence.
Yeah.
We create confidence in people, and it's incredible what happens from before surgery to a couple of weeks after.
Yeah.
How people walk, how they talk, how they dress, it all completely changes.
Yeah. And I mean, I purposely wore this dress because I want to show, as we are talking about this, the before and after. This dress I bought for an event that I had about 3 or 4 months ago, and the difference is incredibly, you can see it. I walked into my office this morning, and my assistant who saw me with the dress before, she was like, oh my God, I get exactly what you're saying. And I said, people think I'm crazy. People thought I was... self-absorbed. People thought that I'm just, chasing this, the perfect body, which I'm not. Again, confidence, just trying to feel good, and trying to maintain, what is left of my youth. I'm aging, and it's all of this is normal, right? Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is normalizing procedures like the ones that I got shouldn't be something that people should feel ashamed of or embarrassed, or self-conscious about, because this is normal. You're seeking just something that is okay to do.
No, not at all. I mean, we live in a hyper, scrutinized world. Yeah. We are constantly on social media. You're a public figure. Yeah. People look up to these influencers and celebrities that are constantly out there showing off, their faces and their bodies and the latest and greatest. And it's intimidating, and the fact of the matter is that they have a lot of help.
Yeah.
All these celebrities that you see that are constantly improving and changing or simply not aging, that's because they have an army of physicians, they have an army of, private chefs and other kinds of things, but it's really the plastic surgeon that they're constantly going to for constant upkeep.
Which I will be here. I have a seat with my name on it soon enough.
But own lounge.
You just mentioned something really interesting, and I guess, because one of the things that I have come to love about you since we started working together is I watch your videos on social media. You're very like vocal and just direct about expectations, right? And also about demystifying this conversation around these procedures because, again, to your point, everybody does it. They just don't really talk about it.
Right. So there was definitely a time where plastic surgery was much more stigmatized.
Yeah.
That's really starting to change.
Yeah.
A lot of people now are still very private about it, and they don't want to look done.
Yeah.
But a lot of people wear their plastic surgery like they would wear a designer handbag, and they're proud of that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. If you are, if you are true to yourself, and if you're a competent individual, and you know that there's going to be things that help you feel better, and and looking better makes you feel better, and that's everybody.
Yeah.
Beauty is something that women are and men are willing to undergo, surgery to achieve.
Yeah.
Then there's absolutely nothing wrong with speaking about it and letting people know what you've done to get you to where you need to be, because some people out there might not know, some people out there might still be under the impression that this is a very, that plastic surgery is not for everybody, that plastic surgery is something for only the rich and famous, that plastic surgery is not safe or not good for you, and all of these things are stigmas that are simply not true.
Yeah.
And if you take the leap and speak to a plastic surgeon and let them know what it is that you're hoping to achieve, I'm sure that most people will walk away with a good plan and feeling that they were heard and that there's things that can be done to help them feel better.
You mentioned something important, safety. I remember after our procedure, I texted my mom because I hadn't told her what I was doing. I told her like a few days later, and she was livid with me. She was like, "You have children to think about," and I'm like, "Mom, but they're doing these things now. It's so different. Like I didn't go under, general anesthesia. Can you address the new way that these procedures are being done, which is really actually safer than it's." I mean, I was shocked that you were like, "No, we're not putting you to, like, you're not going under," and I was like, "I'm scared. I'm scared." And you were like, "The last thing you should be is scared about this. This is actually the safest way."
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So over the course of the past 10 years, there's
Yeah.
been a huge shift in plastic surgery towards procedures being done under local anesthesia, where you don't have to be completely put to sleep in order to have a procedure performed. Now, that does not include every procedure. There are still procedures where
Obviously.
patients need to be put to sleep for in order for them to be done correctly. However, many of the body sculpting procedures that we currently do can be done with the patient awake and comfortable, alert, breathing on their own, on the table, communicating with me. We were having conversations during your procedure.
I don't remember a lot of the things.
You don't
I said.
remember because we always, we make sure that you're relaxed.
I do remember a few things, but I do remember being able to see you and talk to you. Yes, for
talk
sure.
to me.
Yeah.
And you're kind of you're the surgeon's partner during the procedure. You're turning yourself on the table. You're doing a lot of things that help us, and the procedure is done more safely, it's done more quickly, and it's done with much less downtime. And so there is a lot that can be done for patients under local anesthesia. This is something that I don't know if I pioneered, but I would say I'm probably one of the, leading surgeons that does that in New York.
Yeah.
And it's something that has become very acceptable by our society and by a lot of the very, very renowned plastic surgeons in the United States and abroad.
Yeah.
And it's something that I practice here very regularly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was honestly just blown away by it because I did get a procedure done several years ago, and of course I was put under completely. But I think what made me feel better was the next day when I woke up, how much more mobile I was, how much better I was just able to handle my day, as opposed to, being literally dragged out for an additional 3, 4, 5 days in bed, trying to just recover from the anesthesia itself.
Yeah, that fog is not there.
Yeah, that fog isn't there. I didn't lose hair like I would have.
The nausea and vomiting,
the nausea
the hair
and vomiting,
loss.
yes, all of that. So, really,
and that's not to say that anesthesia is bad. There are things we have to do under anesthesia.
Yeah.
Like a full abdominoplasty or a body lift. There are things that you have to be asleep for, but there's a lot you don't.
Yeah. Well, can you go into? I mean, I went into what you would call what it's not, definitely not. It's a sculpt, like a liposculpt.
Yeah, liposculpt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Liposculpting, and I love it. And I love it. Something else that I wanted to jump into is pre-surgery. I actually watched one of your videos, and I wish I would have watched it literally right before my surgery, just because we know these things. Somebody who tells themselves as being health conscious. You mentioned protein intake, which I think is super important that we talk about, because what I want to ask is twofold. pre-surgery, the expectations, right, of nutrition, also of look and feel, and then post-surgery, also look and feel with nutrition, and also expectations of, I'm getting this done, my 10 pounds that are going to be gone, I don't have to eat healthy ever, I have like this lifeline now that I can go back to eating, how I used to eat prior to surgery. Can you address that a little bit more, please?
So before surgery, it's obviously important for you to be in the best possible health. And so, before surgery, we often tell patients not to, drink for about a week or two prior to surgery. We tell patients that hydration and water intake is very, very important. That really helps in your recovery because most people in the world are dehydrated. And because we're going to be removing, some medium to large volumes of fat from the person, we want the patient to be hydrated so that they don't necessarily feel worse or spent after surgery. It's very important to, cut out your tobacco intake. So if you are a smoker, and honestly, frankly, there's many, many less smokers now than I used to see 10 years ago, but if you are a smoker, that's also an important thing to eliminate before surgery. Once your procedure is complete, the same rules apply. Nutritional intake is very, very, very important, okay? So the most important thing that I tell patients after surgery is you have to eat well in terms of good fats and good protein. And we all know what those things are, right? We all know that salmon is the fountain of youth. We all know that it's chock full of omega-3 and it works wonders on your heart, on your skin, and on your body. We all know that dark meat, poultry is excellent for you, things like turkey. We all know lean beef is excellent for you. The other thing that is really, really important is, again, hydration. Carbohydrates I would tend to steer away from if you can. They tend to make patients who are post-operative bloated. They tend to accumulate much faster into, fat, and I think they hinder your healing because they're also very pro-inflammatory. And when your body is already in a state of inflammation after surgery, simple carbohydrates and sugars and soft drinks and desserts and all those things that people, tend to sometimes rely on because they're comfort foods actually work very much to your disadvantage.
Got it.
And we coach you and we help you figure out exactly what those, types of things that you need to do for yourself after surgery to help you, heal as quickly as possible are. The important thing to know is that after surgery, most people are so motivated by their results that they're more eager to get back to the gym. They're more eager to live a healthier lifestyle because they want to maintain their results. And as those weeks go by and you see your swelling going down and your body taking shape, it's a really, really big motivational factor for people to really work harder on their fitness. Is that everybody? No, definitely not. Do I have patients coming back and having more liposuction procedures later on, a year or 2 or 3, because they put on a little bit more weight? Yes. But for the most part, people who take their health seriously, who have made this kind of investment in themselves and in their body, going through this healing process, really take advantage of the fact that they look so good and they really up their game as far as fitness.
No, that's amazing. Something that I want to address also, because I feel like it's a huge misconception, is the weight gain post surgery. Like when specifically in the areas that you're removing fat from. There's this big, I remember hearing the first time that liposuction came onto the market. It's where they take it out of, it will never come back. And I had a friend tell me, she's like, you're going to see, you're not going to grow this way, you're going to grow this. And I'm like, I don't know that that's the case, but can you explain a little bit about the reality of what that is?
So liposuction, we're basically removing fat cells, right? So from the areas that we're going to be liposuction, whether it's your thighs, whether it's your hips, whether it's your abdomen, whether it's your arms, whether it's your neck or chin, we're removing those fat cells. But we're not removing every single fat cell. And the way that weight gain works is that you're not accumulating more fat cells. It's called, what's happening is hypertrophy of the fat cells that are currently there. So just like when you work out and build muscle, you're not building new cells. You're not growing new muscle cells. The muscle cells you have are getting bigger and bigger. And so it's the same thing when you gain weight after liposuction. There are still fat cells in the areas that we have removed. And if you gain weight, those same fat cells that are remaining will grow. And you can gain weight in the exact areas that we removed those fat cells from previously. Now you will also gain weight in other areas that you already have native fat cells that we haven't removed. So the fat does come back evenly. It's just that it will grow slower in the areas that we've liposuction because there are less fat cells there to get big.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. So no, you're not getting away with not ever,
Yes,
gaining.
it is permanent fat removal.
Yes.
And I always tell patients, if you stay within 5 to 7 pounds of your ideal weight, you will not see a difference.
Yeah.
But if you, shoot up 20 pounds, 25 pounds, you will see weight gain in the areas of liposuction.
So I think that's where I was, realistically. Just saying. What did not help me in my case, because I do want to speak authentically, is that I did start hormone replacement therapy at the beginning of the year, and my doctor did say you are going to have some weight gain, and she estimated about 5 to 7 pounds, which is kind of like roughly where I was. So and I came here just frustrated, but now I'm happy, and I love the body I'm in again. Always loved it, just wanted it a little tweak. What would you say, aside from liposuction, which seems to be one of your most, the procedures that you perform the most, what are women and men coming to you for the most? Like, what is the trend? You mentioned briefly before facelifts, right? We were talking about Lindsay Lohan, Donatella Versace. What other procedures would you say are very popular now?
I think that patients are getting facelifts and invasive facial procedures done much earlier.
Okay.
I think the youngest patient I've seen for a facelift, and it's not a full facelift, it was kind of this ponytail facelift, it was 39.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I think Lindsay Lohan is 38.
Okay.
And she, that's when she got her facelift. Patients are looking for natural results.
Yes.
For the most part, everybody I see wants to look like a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that includes taking the fat that we've removed during the liposuction and transferring it to other places. So fat is, it's an incredible thing that we have in our body.
Yeah.
It serves so many purposes.
Is it though, doctor?
Yeah. If we can take it from where we don't like it and maybe put it in some places where we feel like we might be a little deficient.
Yeah.
And there's multiple places you could put fat. We put fat in patients' faces.
Okay.
It brings back volume and youth and rejuvenation because it has tons of stem cells. We put fat in patients' breasts. Mm-hmm. It's a great alternative or a great addition to breast implants.
Got it.
Some patients don't want implants, and so we just use fat
to
give them volume in their breast. And sometimes when we put implants in, we put some fat over the implant. Okay. And that's what's called a hybrid breast augmentation. Oh. And that hides the implant completely for a very natural result. Okay. And then the very, very popular and famous BBL procedure, which I do a lot of, and I'm very well known for, is when we take the fat out from the abdomen and waist, and we sculpt the buttock and the hips with that fat. And so moving fat around is also a very, very big part of what I do, and a very big part of sculpting bodies and faces.
Yeah. I love it. I did not have fat transfers. No, did not. This is natural.
She did not.
My doctor said it. What else would you add to, I feel like the most important part of this conversation for me is, especially for women over 40, over 50, I just saw a 79-year-old woman walk out of your office. As we continue to age, what would you say is the biggest takeaway about, getting these procedures at whatever age that you're in? Because first of all, to me personally, it's a personal choice. I feel like if you want to enhance the way that you look, that is, your prerogative, and you're more than welcome to do that. But when you walk out of here, like, what lights you up when you see a woman walk out fully, stepping into her own?
People who have your reaction, or people who have, her reaction, people who are just happy and smiling and so grateful. I go about my day constantly, talking to the next, patient, or talking to the office, and so sometimes you lose a little bit, of track of how much you're actually helping people. Yeah. So when I happen to bump into somebody and they're just thrilled, sometimes they start crying. Yeah. Sometimes, there's just a lot of emotion that comes with it. Sometimes, they tell me that their life has completely changed. Yeah. It's very dramatic. The one thing I will tell people is, I see patients from all ages. We're called Millennial Plastic Surgery. So we have patients from their 20s all the way, into, like you said, there's, late 70s, even 80s. Don't wait too long. Don't keep thinking about it and not doing it. Because if you're thinking about it, then it's obviously something that you're never going to stop thinking about. Yeah. And the longer you wait, the less time you have left to live the life you want to live.
100%.
So don't wait, and if you know you want to get a tummy tuck in your 40s, you come and see me when you're 60 something years old, and I'll look at you and say, I wish I could have done this for you sooner.
Yeah.
I could have given you this bikini body in your 40s.
Yes.
But you waited till your 60s.
But you waited till your 60s, yeah.
Don't wait. Life is very fleeting.
Very fleeting. And the one thing that I will say, just from my experience, I and you again advise me, because we're here with the expert. I hear a lot of women that have not had children that are considering doing these procedures, and they're invasive. Some of them, are minimally invasive. However, your body through childbirth will change.
Yes.
What would you recommend, to someone who isn't, hasn't had children before? Do you recommend for them to wait, to do it after? I would say do it after, because your body's going to go through a train wreck regardless. And yes, childbirth can be a train wreck. But what would you recommend? Is your expert opinion?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends what you're trying to have done. If
Okay.
there are facial procedures that you want to have done, whether it's a rhinoplasty or something like that, you can do that in your youth.
Yeah.
I see many, many patients in their 20s and 30s who don't have kids yet and do want to have children, who still want to get a breast augmentation.
Yeah.
We know that silicone implants are perfectly safe to breastfeed with. We know that there's absolutely no contraindication to breastfeeding with breast implants.
Yeah.
And so I think that if it's something that you want to do in your 20s to enjoy your 20s, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
The same thing can be said about liposuction.
Yeah.
Liposuction in no way, shape, or form hinders your ability to reproduce or have kids in the future. However, I would wait before I had a tummy tuck, let's say, because we know that with childbirth, the muscles of the abdomen will spread. We know that the skin will become loose and stretchy, and patients develop stretch marks. So for those procedures, there's no, unless there's a really big reason to do them, like if you are a patient who lost, 100, 120 pounds between your 20s and 30s, and we see those, there's no reason to do certain procedures which we know will affect you through childbirth.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what you're trying to get done, if it makes sense to do it before. And the best way to know that is by consulting your plastic surgeon. Go see them, speak to them, tell them what your goals are, and they will, honestly tell you what they think you should and shouldn't do at what point.
Yeah, well, I would say come see you, come talk to you, come consult with you, to really because honestly, one of the things, that I feel, especially with these, they're so invasive in the sense that you're seeing me, you're seeing my body, there has to be a rapport. And one of the things that I was very just happy and I appreciated about the fact that when I came here, from the moment that I saw you, everyone made me feel super comfortable. I felt like I was walking into my lounge, my personalized lounge, just great. Because it felt very personable. You were just very direct. Nothing makes me happier than having, conversations about health and well-being and procedures like this that are just honest. Like, tell people the truth. I know friends who have gone through similar procedures who are not happy with results because the doctor was just not forthcoming, or they just, literally hid or just misrepresented the expectations of these procedures. And you told me from the get-go, at the 2-week mark, I think I texted you and you said, go hit the gym, you're good. And I did, slowly but surely. Like, I was able to just, get back into my my day-to-day routine. But what would you say, and I think we're gonna end on that, why is that so important to just be honest with women and managing expectations, especially when they're having a procedure that is going to change their body, their physiology, right?
Listen, a consultation with a plastic surgeon, it's like, it's not a marriage, but you definitely have to make sure you vibe. So as much as, you want them or they might want you, you have to make sure that they make sense.
Yeah.
So, that's the most important thing. Trust your instincts. Women are very smart. Women have great intuition. Women know what they want, and I know that when a woman decides she wants to get something done or have something done, come hell or high water, it will happen. They will
Yes.
find a way to make it happen.
100%.
I grew up with with women like that in my life. My mom, my aunts. So I understand what that's like. I also understand that my motto has always been, and I think it's a great motto, you want to really undersell and hope to over-deliver, because you don't want to set the expectation here and meet the expectation here or fall short. But if you set a realistic expectation and you do what you do, I do what I do, and I'm able to go above, do more, then the person is always going to be left happier. But if you promise somebody the world, and even if you give them an outstanding result, but you set their expectations to something that's just unattainable or unachievable, they're always going to feel disappointed. They're not going to be happy. They're going to leave here feeling sometimes worse than they did before. And that's why it's really important to make sure that you're very, very upfront and that you're just telling them exactly what it is, what they can expect, and then just tell them, trust the process, and let's see where you end up. And people usually end up in a place better than what they were expecting.
I know I am. So I'm truly so happy. I'm so happy that we connected. I'm so happy that we met. I'm so happy that I underwent this minimal procedure, because it was minimal. Was it?
I think so. I think it's a minimal procedure.
It's a minimal procedure, but also I feel, like I said, just like I stepped back into myself, and that is a feeling that literally is priceless. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
If anyone wants to learn more about you and they want to come and consult with you, where can they find you?
So our website is millennialplasticsurgery.com. Our social media is Millennial Plastic Surgery. We have, a couple of different accounts. And then,
reach out to me. You can ask
Vanessa.
me questions.
Follow us on IG. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. Millennial Plastic Surgery.